Welcome to TurboSound's guide to the Ease Focus 2 software, a powerful tool developed by AFMG. It's designed to create accurate 3D models for acoustic simulation of line array systems and configurable loudspeakers. This will allow you to use your system to its maximum potential. The free software can be downloaded from the TurboSound website along with the relevant data files. To install the software, simply extract the files and run the setup. The install wizard will then open to guide you through the process. Looking at the workspace, we can see three distinct areas. The left panel shows project and object properties. The top panel shows the horizontal coverage of the system, and the bottom panel shows the vertical coverage of the system. Other options on the bottom panel are the levels, frequency response, and distribution. Windows can be freely moved and resized. It's possible to save your own custom layouts and recall these later. Initially, the product properties should be set, including basic room information such as temperature, air pressure, and humidity. By opening up the Project Settings menu, you can set the ear heights of the audience. You can also set height limits here. The upper height limit should represent the ceiling height of the space you're working in, whilst the lower height limit should represent the stage height. Now we can begin to insert audience zones. This is done in the top view. Different shaped audience zones can be created and, if necessary, split into multiple zones to show audience distribution. We're now going to modify the current zone to represent the stage. Firstly, we can set the dimensions of the stage and then its position from the origin. The arrow in the middle of the shape shows the direction of the viewers relative to the speakers. We will therefore need to flip the arrow to show this. To do this, insert 180 into Orientation or right-click the zone and choose Edit, Flip horizontally. You can also name your zones to avoid confusion. By holding Shift, you can use the mouse to measure any distance and time delay between points. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to come back for part 2 of our Ease Focus 2 guide. Hello and welcome to the second part of TurboSound's guide to the Ease Focus 2 software. To create an audience zone, simply select the desired shape and then click on the top view window. Alternatively, click and drag out the shape with your mouse. For this example, we want to change the orthogonal side. And to do this, go to the orthogonal side option on the left panel and change it from right to left. You can also right-click on the shape and then select Edit, Flip vertically. For the next part of our guide, we're going to adjust the grid size so that instead of being relative to the zoom level, it's a constant size of 5 meters. This is helpful when moving and resizing objects. We can copy and paste our current audience zone to create a new identical zone. To place it, we first flip it vertically and then snap the required point to our previous audience zone. We can select the handle to rotate the zone around the snapped point until the two edges line up. We displace the zone in the Y direction by 1 meter, and this is to account for an aisle between those two zones. Now we're going to add the left balcony. We can create a zone by right-clicking on the top view, selecting Add Audience Zone, and then we're going to choose Annular Sector. We can then manipulate this to the correct size and rotation. Rotations can be changed either with the handle or using the left panel. When using the left panel, the center of rotation is set as the center of the audience zone, in this case, the stage. Whereas when using the handle, the rotation is about the front center point of the zone. After we've inserted all our audience zones, our model will look like this. We can then use the side view to modify more properties of individual audience zones. Modifications can be made either as drawings in the view window or as value changes on the left panel. They allow the adjustment of the audience height at certain points. Also, distinctions can be made whether the audience is sitting, standing, or any combination of the two. Different audience locations within a zone can be named too. The side view uses a DZ coordinate system. The D parameter represents the distance from the front of the zone. This, along with tilt angle, can be freely adjusted. The properties of one area can be copied to other areas. This can be done either by selecting the area, clicking Copy Areas, and then pasting to any other zones, or by clicking on the Copy Areas button in the Object Properties, and then selecting which zones to copy to. If we try to place the balcony height at 7 meters, we'll find that the balcony height is restricted to 4. This is because the maximum tilt angle we can set is 45 degrees. To solve this issue, we need to adjust the second height variable of the balcony to a more reasonable level, and then adjust accordingly to our space. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to come back for part 3 of our Ease Focus 2 guide. Hello and welcome to the third part of TurboSound's guide to the Ease Focus 2 software. Now we have our audience set up, we can begin to add loudspeakers to our model. A range of TurboSound speaker models are available. However, for this video, we'll use the default line array and column settings which come with the software. To import speaker models, click Edit, Import System Definition File. To add a sound source, right-click and then choose Add Sound Source, or use the Insert Sound Source button. Select the desired source and then place into your model. If you place a line array, the rigging options will appear in a right-hand panel. The red strip marks the fact that you've placed the array outside of the height limits defined in the project settings. When the array is moved into the acceptable limits, the strip turns green. You'll notice some black lines have appeared in the side view. These represent level lines showing the acoustic pressure on the axis of the selected object. This same information is available graphically in the Levels window. For our model, we're going to set up a main array to the front of the stage and a delayed system aimed at the balconies. We'll begin by naming our left array and then defining some properties. Here are the parameters we've created for our system. The setup parameter lets you select how the speakers have been set up in your system. You can also set height limits here for your sound source. Numerous elements can be changed, such as the number of boxes, their cabinets, the box angle, and box gains. You can set the pinpoint here as well. You can either enter it manually or set a vertical angle and allow the software to calculate it. Some limits, such as maximum weight and tilt angle, are contained in the loudspeaker configurations. If these are exceeded, an error or warning will appear, both in the left panel and in the status bar at the bottom of the screen. Some loudspeaker presets are available. These are found under Edit Line Array Presets. There are some default settings that come bundled with the software, along with some TurboSound specific setups. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to come back for part 4 of our Ease Focus 2 guide. Hello and welcome to the 4th part of TurboSound's guide to the Ease Focus 2 software. The Autosplay function is useful for reducing time used to set up configurations. This modifies the angle between boxes and the vertical display angle to optimize the SPL level in the target audience areas. Let's look at using Autosplay on the left main array. Initially, we set the boxes to be used for Autosplay, and then we set the strategy. The conventional strategy runs the system with no constraints. Arcuate supplies a constant opening angle between adjacent boxes, and Spiral supplies an increasing opening angle between adjacent boxes. Under target audience areas, we can find all the areas aimed at by the loudspeaker. We can then select which we are going to target for the operation. Seeing as our setup will include specific delays for the balconies, we should deselect it when considering the current line array. In the side view, we can now see that the balcony was excluded from calculations. We can also copy Autosplay setups by right-clicking on our modified array and then copying and pasting to the other arrays. Alternatively, you can use the Copy Setup to Other Arrays option in the left-hand panel before selecting which arrays you would like to copy the settings to. In this case, we only want to copy the settings to the right main array. Now it's time to evaluate our setup. Here, it is best to use mapping. Click on Show Mapping to see this. When mapping is activated, a color chart appears on the right of the window to help interpret the results you will get. In the top menu bar, we can select multiple mapping options. We can select whether the SPL is measured as a Z rating or if it is A-weighted to human hearing. We can also choose if the bandwidth is broadband or if it is limited to a number of octaves. Specific sources and areas can also be deactivated depending on your analysis preference. For both areas and sources, you can create groups to help you with your manipulation of the scene. To do this, select the desired elements, go to Manage Groups, and then click to store the current selection. We can create two groups, one for the main arrays and one for the delay arrays. When only one group is selected, the unused arrays will be crossed out. The same applies to the audience areas. As a shortcut for creating area groups, we can click on Copy Areas To. This will allow us to make and manage groups. All the SPL calculations in EaseFocus are limited to a direct field. Also included in the calculations are ear attenuation effects according to ISO 9613. However, shadowing and ground reflections are not considered. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to come back for part 5 of our EaseFocus 2 software guide. Hello and welcome to the final part of TurboSound's guide to the EaseFocus 2 software. The EaseFocus distribution graph gives important information about audience coverage. This allows you to analyze current coverage and tailor your system to suit the necessary requirements. For example, if you wanted 90% of your audience to experience plus or minus 3 dB coverage. To check specific areas only, simply select the appropriate areas and then tick the Visible Audience Areas Only box under the Distribution Graph options. Calculation parameters can be set under the Options menu. Finally, we can add receivers. These are points of interest for the acoustical analysis. At these points, we can evaluate the system's frequency response. To add receivers, simply click on the corresponding button before placing in your model. Left-clicking on a receiver in the legend will make it a reference for the other receivers to work from. Right-clicking on a receiver will toggle its visualization in the window. When you've completed your setup, you can export your results. Every window has the function to be exported as a picture. To do this, simply right-click and select Copy Picture to Clipboard before pasting into another program. You can also select Save Picture To save the image as a file. Under the File menu, there is also the option to export a picture from a selected area. Here you will also find the Create Report feature, and this creates an overall summary of your system. It will prompt you to select which areas you wish to consider and which file format you would prefer to export. The report contains all the key information from EaseFocus that you'll need when performing your install. If you still have any questions, a help guide is available by simply pressing the F1 key. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe at turbosound.com.